So the next question was, how common is binge eating?
So, well, according to, if we go from a statistical point of view, in the UK anyway, in 2017, they found that 22% of all eating disorders was binge eating. And to just compare that to anorexia, which is at 9%, and bulimia, which is at 18%, it's more common than both anorexia and bulimia. But we think about this is just the people who've gone and got a diagnosis. I work with binge eating day in, day out, and I meet a lot of people that would fit the criteria and they've never got a formal diagnosis. So I'm very much under the impression that this is a much bigger problem than we realize. Much wider, much more widely spread, because it's in secret. That's the whole point, right? There's a lot of guilt and shame around it. So we don't know much about this at the moment.
Do you find, just an additional question to this, do you find like there's a specific age group that tends to be higher in eating disorders or binge eating disorder in general?
That's a really difficult question to answer, actually. What we do know is that it tends to start anything from childhood up to mid-20s. Some people develop it later in life, but normally people under 30 are more at risk of developing it. But when it comes to people that might come to me, it actually tends to be people 30 and 40 upwards, because what I think happens is people struggle with binge eating for decades before they realize this might actually be a like a disordered eating problem, like a legitimate, valid problem. They just think they must have a problem with willpower or discipline, and so they try to control their eating even more and just blame themselves for not being able to do it.
Okay. So what causes binge eating?
The jury's still out, because there's so many different ways it can manifest. So I would say there's probably several causes. The one we need to look at first, I think, is restriction and dieting. They're the biggest contributory factors for developing binge eating. But not everybody. I think the research showed 2/3 of people dieted before they developed binge eating. So their binge eating was triggered by dieting. But 1/3 of people, that wasn't the case. The dieting came later as a way to try and control the binge eating.
Yeah.
The restrictions part of it, then there's emotional side of it. Many of us have quite